I'm fine. Good conversations. Well, I think I kind of talked my staff out of coming over today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was gonna come over, Anita and I talked about, that fund money that you guys are getting for the COVID
Yeah,
stuff.
ARPA funding.
Yeah, some of the counties are reflying for the Eagle View, that pictometry photography, because that qualifies. So I got an updated bid, and it's went up $10,000. It's $104,000 now. And I guess I know I was just really disappointed.
Yeah.
That it continues to go up that much. And where I talked, I said I about talked myself out of coming over and talking about it. I just don't think, even if it's coming out of another fund, that is justifiable. I mean, I've talked myself out of it almost. It's great photography, and we want everybody to use it, but I know they won't from the history.
Yeah.
With the other entities and so forth, the cities and so forth like that. If everybody would use it, I think it might be a lot more justifiable and so forth. The reason that it falls under the COVID is for the highway patrol, the sheriff's department and so forth. They can do a lot of inspections from there. The county can do inspections.
Yeah.
Is what they're gonna do is, they're not gonna go out and see the people with this photography. They're gonna keep their distance from everybody. That's how it's qualifying. But, I don't know.
Yeah. How often when was the last time we had that done?
February of 2015. And see, we're supposed to do it every 6 years. And is what we had a contract with. But I think the initial flight was 85,000, something of that nature. But I mean, you guys can tell me how you feel, yeah, it'd be great to have this, we can compare them and so forth. There's been changes. Has there been $104,000 worth of changes?
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice, I think a lot of the taxpayers, I'm not gonna say a lot, taxpayers that are aware of this, they do like that photography when we print that information out on their property. But once again, is it feasible? And I think part of the problem, and I think the other entities would use it, but what the problem is, when I talk about the other entities, the cities mostly, the school has used it, for like when they needed a 200 foot around the school or something, they can jump on there and they can measure out and so forth, but how often do they have to do that? The city's big thing, and even for the county was the big thing, of course we use it for the mapping, but now that we have Luke also, that helps too. But the cities were supposed to use it for their layers and planning. They are so understaffed, from what I understand, that they get excited to use it, and then they don't. Because they don't have the personnel. And then, I know at St. John, they had one person that was really hyped, and they were gonna do it and get started, and then they quit. And then it fizzled out, and nobody, you have to have somebody to be able to do it too. Whether we help them or not, they still need to have somebody. And I just don't, I talked you out of it too, haven't I?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, it's gonna be $18,000. If you're gonna do it over 6 years, it's around $18,000 a year.
Well, and they would have paid, so our payment would be $34,000 to get it paid in a certain amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, they're gonna fly the county again?
They would fly the county spring, probably February of 2022 is what the game plan was, or that's what the proposal was for. Because pictometry flies with leaf off.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be pretty like Google.
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to be your uglier colors, and you can see, the different things, the land,
Yeah.
without the leaves and so forth.
But there's no mandate that comes down from the state that we have to have it cloned.
No. Matter of fact, we get DASK, and your 911 emergency, they fly like every other year, and we typically can get that too, and put it in our system.
Okay.
So, and that's another reason, you know, I've talked myself out of it. There is other entities that fly or other organizations that fly, and then we can get access to that. We have to wait, and it might be a year or two old when we get it, but it didn't cost us nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the selling points of that, I remember, is you could measure a privacy fence to see
Mhm.
how tall it is.
Mhm.
You know, for law enforcement today,
Mhm.
you know, if they're gonna enter our house, they wanna know what the backyard's like.
And those entities, like in Saline County, we still get some reports, and they go out on their email and, on their Facebook, and they say how they use the Eagle View and so forth, and how the police departments enjoyed it. The fire department has enjoyed it. You know, they've saved time with road construction where they have to send a certain fire truck that weighs too much over a bridge. They send that a different, but they have a lot more people, and that's what they do. And sure, it is perfect, it is fine. We have highway patrol that live in Saline County, that come to Ellsworth County, that have this in their vehicles or on their phones. Well, they just pull it up with the photography, and they kind of have a game plan before they get there.
Yeah.
You're right, that's the intent. It's supposed to help everybody, and it's there, it's one of those luxuries that's there that isn't used.
Yeah.
And if it's not used, and you know, we had the initial, then we had meetings, and then we had another one at the school, and the St. John School, we used the IT room. And they had it all set up so everybody could visually see it and so forth. And we've had like 3 or 4 meetings. Everybody you think is gonna go, and then it doesn't. And we can get, and the reason I know it's not being used is we can go on there and we can look.
Oh, yeah.
And we can see the history. And
Yeah.
Eagle View can too, and of course, they want to sell the $104,000 and that they come out and help us, but I think that would fizzle too, just from the past. I do.
Yeah.
But it's due to the lack of participation of those utilizing the program.
That's right.
How much does the appraiser's office use that? How much do you guys use that?
We get on there and we use it, I use it every day, all the time.
That's that's what I figured is the majority, the biggest user would be you guys, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then the net, and then, you know, and actually Maryland even uses the Kimball mapping one even more now. Because they can get some of the newer photography pretty quick.
Yeah.
We can't put that on our system, but she can see it.
Yeah.
When do you think this stuff becomes obsolete from like satellite imagery? Is it so much better photography than like a satellite
It's pretty
image?
close. It's pretty close, yeah. This was gonna go to 3-inch, which you could probably almost read a license plate.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. So this is going to be quite a bit.
And what's nice about this is there's other photography that whatever you do photography, you have to like rectify it for your scale, because we use it for parcels. And not all that you can do that. Google, you can't do that to scale.
Yeah.
And you can't put a parcel layer over Google and so forth. You just can see the nice photography. And that's part of the cost of this, but it's still, I just don't think it's justifiable. So, at this point, you know, if it would have even been, you know, 80 or 85,000, I would almost ask you to consider it. But when it continues to go up $10,000, I don't know. So there you are. So thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, it's disappointing.
I'm glad you're looking out for the
It's
taxpayer money.
disappointing. It is. I didn't think it was gonna be this much. I really didn't. You know, I thought they'd be wanting to get out there and getting some jobs and getting you know, because they do fly and do like us and a couple counties
Yeah.
with one flight,
Yeah.
you know, with one plane. But
And they don't have the whole state.
no, no. The only state they have entirely, the entire state, is Indiana, because the state of Indiana, with COVID, paid for the entire state to get flown by Eagle View, because of COVID. And that's kind of what started this then in other states, saying, well, it's working there, it should qualify anywhere else then. So the other thing is, all our soils, I think, do you want to, you can have it.
No, I don't want it.
Don't accidentally write a check.
No.
Okay. The soils have been entered. That went extremely smooth with Kimball mapping with the state. They did approve the bringing it in 1 year and 7 years, 2 and 6 and so forth. So when we get the new soil, we don't know what the prices are right now, what the values are going to do. All the soils are at K-State right now. And K-State Ag, and they're working on them right now with the new system of using 1 year, 7 year, and see how that's gonna work for them. Because we'll get those values probably in December. So,
So it's our county, Edwards, Pawnee? What are they
mostly us, it's mostly us. There's 18 counties had that soil, Carlisle soil. Carlisle soil, but we had the most, and we had the most irrigation of that. The other one would be Pratt and Edwards. Yeah.
Are they gonna do that 7-year?
Yes, all of them are.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, all of them do the same thing now.
That'll soften the blow some.
That'll soften the blow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we still probably would like to have a meeting, probably, you know, December or something like that, and let everybody know what we're doing. And
Yeah.
maybe we can set it up for it here then.
Yeah.
So, we can work on that a little bit later.
I would like to get together with you on that, and if you could kind of give us an idea of where it's going to be at, to where we can call some of the bigger farmers in the areas.
Okay.
And, you know, actually make a reach out to them and say you need to come to this meeting,
Okay.
instead of griping about it next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we get those values, well, I'll come in right away then, and we can get something set up, get the room over here, get them a letter, or put it out on our site or something, you know, and.
Yeah, I don't mind spending a little money, sending everybody a letter,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
anybody that's gonna be affected, I guess.
yeah, and some of the bigger landowners, I mean, I think it wouldn't hurt to give them a call.
Mhm.
No, yeah, yeah, for sure.
Because, I mean, I feel like a lot of these people, when the soil types go, the valuation goes up on them, they feel like we're picking on them. Well, it gets brought down from the state, they don't understand that. And I've told people that, maybe you need to correct me, but, I mean, we don't have much say-so on the soil type.
We don't.
And evaluations now on houses and businesses, you know, you set that, and if they have a complaint, they come talk to you. But if they got a complaint about their soil, they gotta go to Topeka, right?
That's right.
And it's a wasted trip.
That's what I told them.
Yeah, yeah, that'll fall on deaf ears, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we did, well, I think we did the taxpayers justice, though, by using that
Oh,
1.7
Yeah.
and working that in. I think that, I hope they, you know, see that anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they have to appreciate it, because.
Well, nobody
it's still gonna
likes it, but.
affect- So,
Yeah.
everything else is going pretty good. I think we haven't talked to Nita and you guys, but we're getting close to recertifying again. The
Oh,
first
okay.
week of October,
Okay,
believe it
well,
or
we're
not,
getting,
isn't
yeah.
it? That's crazy. Yeah. So we'll be getting close to,
What is this?
Yay!
yay! That's my PVD
Annual.
report card.
Oh, okay.
And what it is it showed that we were in compliance with everything. And the reason I don't say too much, we got 99 points out of 100 for the compliance. Is this could turn real quick on me next year, so I try not to.
Oh, I
Even
see.
in good years.
Don't want to brag it up too much.
Well, no, because, you know, you get a couple bad sales in there. If you look over on this chart here, especially in commercials where a lot of small counties have trouble, we had 6 properties sell. But, you know, if you get 2 properties sell in commercial that give you a really bad ratio, I would be out, these numbers would go out of whack real quick, so.
Yeah.
They looked real good this year again, but
So you're not gonna toot your horn too
we're
loud?
not tooting anything, that's right.
So what you're saying by sales out of whack, as long as they sell pretty close to what you have them evaluated for, so if somebody gets a real good deal or somebody way overpays,
Mhm.
it'll throw these numbers off?
Mhm.
Okay.
One example that could hurt me for next year would be the Dollar General land sale. Stuff like that, just when you have a couple things that throw you out of whack, that's not the norm what somebody would pay for something. Or if Agrex would sell for a high dollar amount, you know, it just only takes one or two things and we're on the red list then.
Yeah.
And what the state would do is they would give me a year, they would change the letter, and they would say that we were out of compliance, just say on the commercial ratios. And then they're gonna say that it's a concern, but they would get with me and notify me and find out what we're gonna do to fix it. Is what
Well,
would
to me,
happen.
if you're gonna be off on some commercials, where you're gonna be off, because there's those situations where stuff is worth way more to a certain person,
Mhm.
whereas housing is pretty even keel.
Pretty consistent, isn't it?
You have more buyers than on
Yeah.
commercial,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which I've read the 96 Ag building, a lot of theirs for sale.
Oh. We've had a couple people ask about that, actually.
That's what they're wanting for,
Is it?
is that close to it.
No, I think I'm probably a T10.
So
I wouldn't
if
think that's
it's
that far off, really.
that too, yeah, I think this is a wishing number.
I hope that includes everything in it.
Yeah.
You know, that would change it down too. Yeah. So it was a good report this year.
Yeah.
So thanks for asking, and if it's not as good next year, just don't forget how good this year was.
So
Because it's really good, I mean, on the ratio.
So is it,
You
you said everything, the entries and everything is what really good on getting this stuff going? I mean, is everybody catching
That would
on?
be
I'd say
reflected on your
perfect.
performance.
It went perfect. It was that big of a project, it went smooth, very smooth. I'm very happy about that. Yeah. So, yeah, Donna's doing good, Marilyn's doing good. Like I said, we're gonna recertify the personal property, first week of October. We'll get a date with Nita and Lisa here to see what date we shoot for. What that means is, throughout, when we certify back in March, April, those values then are locked for that tax year. What we do though on the personal property and the oil and gas and so forth, is you're gonna come in, people come in and change vehicles, sell vehicles, buy vehicles, sell boats, change names, different interests, and so forth on oil and so forth. Instead of doing supplements like some counties do, because see, that means that tax statement would be incorrect if you do a supplement to change it. Your tax statement would be mailed out like the property was in first of the year.
Mhm.
A lot of changes take place, so we thought 15 years ago, why mail those out and have problems with the tax bill? Let's just recertify personal property again right before the tax statements go out. That's why we do that. And we don't have to do what they call supplements, where we have to enter it manually, and then they have to enter it manually. You have two people,
Yeah.
two offices doing all this data entry, instead of just pulling it all one more time. So that's right around the corner already.
Yeah.
Always something to do.
Or something to do, that's right, that's why we're here, it's a good cycle. I should finish up with the 17% measuring this week, which that's good, then I can start all my studies, so it's all going pretty good.
Do you, on your 17%, is that where you go, or is that the 20% where you drive around actually?
17%, yeah.
17%.
Yeah.
So do you have any trouble with people not wanting you to get on the property, or can you just do a drive-by on the road, or?
That's what would happen if they would, because you can't reward somebody to run you off.
Yeah,
You have to still do your job, so you can do it from the road. One advantage I guess that I have is driving up to it, I can already tell if there's already changes because I've been here so long.
yeah,
Even an old barn, I can tell you if it's gone or not.
yeah.
So, they typically, to be honest with you, nobody in Stafford County, watch, I'll get run off today. I jinxed myself, but nobody's done that. They've been aggravated maybe, I might got on a wrong day or something and this, that, and the other, but as far as being that,
Running you off the
Upset,
shotgun at
yeah.
the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, from our land.
yeah, it goes pretty good.
So if they run you off, then you just eyeball the house and those sheds and add 20% to size, and if they don't like it, they can have you come back and actually do the tape measure?
They actually have a hearing sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. And that was more, that's how we were taught back in reappraisal days, is don't reward somebody for that. If you're gonna estimate, you need to estimate larger, because we have the appeal process. They can come in and appeal it, and then we can come back out and do it right.
Yeah, that's only fair.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So if somebody's gonna tear down a shed or a barn or something, I mean, basically any structure, no matter
Mhm.
what the condition, it's on the tax roll. So if they tear something down and they're concerned about the property tax, they just need to notify you
Mhm.
that
Yep.
they've done it?
Yep. We have a file up there we just keep where, we've had it for years, and as throughout the year, if somebody knows or sees something, we're listed. If we get a phone call, we'll put it all in that file, and then that way the memory, you don't have to remember everything in the county, and then you just go out and start looking. Yep, take off, put on. NRP helps, the tax rebate, that's helped a lot. Zoning's helped a lot.
Mhm.
That's helped a lot,
Yeah.
actually, in the county. Yeah. So, there's always something false to, the cracks here and there, but try not to anyway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you,
That's all I have.
Carl. Thanks,
Okay,
Carl.
thanks for your time.
Appreciate you keeping us informed.
Okay, thanks.
I make the motion that we approve the minutes for the September 1st meeting.
Second?
Then move and second, we adopt the minutes of September 1st. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll recess.
Okay, so just a quick COVID update. From Friday to yesterday, we gained 10 cases. And this morning, we've got 4 new ones, and we've had people call and want to get tested, so we're kind of growing rapidly right now. They're involving, the cases that we've got are involving all 3 of our big towns in the county and 2 of our school districts so far. None of the schools are masking, so I don't know if any of the school boards will consider masking if they get to a certain number of cases in the schools or not. But it may be something that they should think about, just so that they don't end up having a bunch of kids virtual, because I know that there's a cutoff for the amount of hours that they can go virtual. So just something for them to maybe contemplate. With all of that being said, we're extremely busy at the health department with all of that going on, doing vaccines, doing all of our regular services. I know somebody had called about some houses in Seward that need to be checked. I just don't know how I can get out of the office with everything that's going on to be able to do house checks. And I didn't know with all of our, we've got a COVID grant, the county's got some COVID grant money. I didn't know if there was a way that we could hire somebody extra to help answer phones, and they could help with some of the other services that we've got going on at the health department, just so that while we're having to do all of these contact tracing, case investigations, and shots, having another set of hands to help answer the phone and help with like some of the small things that we do day to day in the office might be handy. Maribel, we had doing our breastfeeding peer counselor position, so she knows our office, she's able to translate, she's somebody that I had in mind that maybe could do that. She's already been on the payroll for the county, so it would be really easy for her to step into that role. I asked her if she would be willing, if it was something that we could do, and she said that she would be willing, so I just wanted to see if that would be something that would be potentially able to happen.
So has she been doing that part-time, the breastfeeding and stuff?
Yeah, she would only come in on our WIC days, so on Wednesdays, but she had quit doing that at the end of June. So we haven't had her for a little while now.
Yeah. And you have funding through the coronavirus deal? to
We
pay
got
for that?
an ELC grant, and I had only applied for about 108,000 and they gave me 120,000. So I have some money set there that I could use towards a salary for somebody. I just would need to make an edit to my budget. But like I said, I didn't budget for the full amount and they gave me the full amount. So
Yeah.
I have some funding
And you're talking
there.
edit in your budget, the grant budget.
Mhm,
yeah.
yeah.
Are you thinking you'll just play it by ear as far as time frame, or is this gonna be more of a permanent deal? I mean,
I
know it's
didn't
kind of-
know
Yeah,
what we could even do. I didn't know if it was even feasible, because we'd already turned budgets in. But I know like the other day, I was on the phone for at least half an hour doing a COVID investigation and contact tracing. The phones were ringing like crazy, so Emily and Kaylee were on the phone and we missed several phone calls and had a bunch of people that we had to call back that had left voicemails. So just having the one extra person to answer the phone would be helpful, just because, like this morning it happened again, that's why I was running behind, because I was on the phone and then we had the phone just ringing constantly. So,
I mean, if you have the money from the coronavirus, I mean, I can see where there's a need for it. I just hate for, I mean, I guess they need to realize that whatever coronavirus money runs out,
right,
that it's not
Yeah,
gonna
we
be
have
up.
to take a harder look at it as far as budget-wise.
Yeah.
Next year. I just feel like you need some more help, and that way it'll free you up to go do some other duties.
because if I
Because-
can't get out of the office due to house checks, I don't know who else can do that.
Yeah,
Like, I
Because
People
don't know
just
if an
need to
officer
realize
can do
it.
that, or,
And I mean, that's what I told them up in Seward, I said, we're swamped right now, you know? And it sounds like the last couple that got done years ago, the paperwork got lost.
Yeah, I can't
mean,
find
that's
it.
on them, that's on them.
yeah, because they get a copy of the paperwork, so, I mean.
So they understand that up there.
Okay. I know it's an issue and it needs to be addressed too, but I just, like I told him the other day, I have a lot of plates spinning and I know some are falling and I can't
yeah, I
keep
get
them
it.
all spinning.
Because this would take a half a day
I mean,
or a whole
for,
day.
for the ones in Seward, yes,
Yeah.
it would probably take half a day because they called initially about one, but then want me to do all the other ones that they can't find paperwork for, and then it sounds like an additional one that they hadn't told me about, so that's like 5 properties at least that they want me to go and look at, and if I do a thorough job, I have to take pictures at each one, I have to take notes at each one to know what I need to look for in the ordinances, then I have to come back, and I mean, that's just half a day of being out of the office. And then the other half of the day is gonna be spent going through ordinances and typing letters. So it's not just an easy, get it done in an hour kind of thing. It takes a lot of time,
And then you have to coordinate with the sheriff's office to be
Yes.
accompanied.
yeah. So I mean, if it works for me and it doesn't work for them, I can't go until they can go.
Yeah.
and that's just Seward.
Yeah,
We have issues in other,
yes,
the other 5 towns.
Yes.
Or other 4 towns.
yeah,
And I mean, when people's brought that up to me, I told them, you know, just because you don't like the way a property looks,
it doesn't
we can't do
mean,
it.
yeah,
It's gotta be a health risk.
right,
And I don't know, one of those properties up there, I mean, it's kind of a trailer house and they have people living there with no electric, no water. And they're like, so where are they going to the bathroom at?
yeah. I mean,
if
that's
you
a
go-
problem.
But that's part of their deal. I mean, even if
It might
you,
have electric now.
right,
It kind of comes and goes.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know how you do a deal like that. I mean, if you condemn it by saying you don't have electric and water until And you can't live there until somebody does it. So then they get it turned off for a month and then they turn it back off.
Yes,
Then
and-
are you supposed to go back up there and look again?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I can go up there and tell people, you need to fix this, this, and this, and they can do that and have it fixed for a month or two, and then it can go right back to how it was, and it's just a cycle
Yeah.
for some things. But like, I mean, if there are houses standing around empty that they do want condemned, that could be condemned, I mean, I've written letters for that for multiple towns, and the houses are still standing there. I mean, St. John's starting to get rid of several of them, but
Yeah. I would say that would be down on your priority list of
And
stuff to
that's-
do, and they're just gonna have to understand that.
and that's what I've kind of tried to explain, and I know that they're upset, but I mean, there's only so many hours in a day and only so many things I can do.
Yeah. Well, I guess my opinion on the extra help is, by all means, if we have, it sounds like we have the money as far as grant funding goes to do the Corona help, I would just make it clear to whoever you're gonna have come help that it's not gonna be, like, this isn't a full-time deal right now into the future. Not saying that it couldn't be,
Mhm.
I don't wanna make that commitment without looking at the budget, you know,
Yeah.
and making sure that we could swing that in the future. But as far as right now, yeah, if you need help and we have the grant funding, that's my opinion.
And
Just go
then,
for it.
as for like hourly wage, is that something that you guys would want to weigh in on the dollar amount for that, or are you okay with me looking at the,
I would say whatever your guidelines are
okay,
and your,
Yeah. You have a better idea what it
okay,
costs to fill that position.
okay,
You know, and we're not, at least I'm not trying to pick on the health department, you know, with saying, no, you can't get another person, but the short time that I've been on the commissioners, you know, if you give one person a raise, then everybody wants a raise.
Yeah.
I'm afraid if we give one department an extra employee,
which
then we
I
might be
understand
limiting
that, because
5 or
I
6
mean,
more.
before COVID, we were doing fine with the 3 that we had.
Yeah.
It's just, right now, we're a little overextended with having to do all of that, plus all of our regular day-to-day operations. It's just,
And that's the point of the grants and
Yeah.
Yeah.
the funding that we're getting is to help with stuff like that. So I
Right.
think, yeah, go ahead and utilize it.
And
and the neat thing you have is someone willing to come to work. You don't have to
Yeah.
go find someone.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if the person that you were talking about came back, then you would probably put them kind of back like a dual deal to where they'd be doing the breastfeeding
Yeah.
deal and then
I would,
also helping
I
with
talked to
them.
her about that, and she said if she was back, she would be willing to take that role back on, because she was already doing it to begin with. And she would do that on our WIC days, and then, she would be available for like translating whenever we needed it, helping answer the phone calls. I mean, really, we could put her into a role of being, a Healthy Start home visitor, because we have the maternal and child health grant program, where she could help with that, because there's a lot of other health departments that have a breastfeeding peer counselor that does that role also. And Emily does that mainly because she's able to visit with people more than I end up being able to, because I'm usually on the phone or doing something for, like, getting grant paperwork or whatnot done. So she's listed as our Healthy Start home visitor, but I'm able to do those visits too. But Maribel would, I'm sure she would be happy.
And you can
more
also
happy with
use
that.
her as an interpreter.
Which, I mean, she was already doing that for us whenever she was doing the breastfeeding peer
Yeah.
counselor position when she was in the office. And we've called her before whenever she wasn't in the office to help us with translating, and she was willing to do it.
Until Kaylee, she's got to become bilingual.
I feel like all of us need
Yeah, I
to.
wish I knew Spanish.
It would be really helpful if all of us.
Shannon, can you update me on our current quarantine policy from the county? Nothing to do with schools, but say I'm exposed to a positive today. What am I in for as far as quarantine? I just want to, because it's, you know, the last wave, when I was sitting in on meetings, I kind of knew what was going on, but now that we're kind of ramping back up, I just want to be familiar with what
It's,
quarantine.
it's kind of the same. So if you came in contact with somebody today, it would be 10 days from today that you would quarantine
Okay.
and watch for symptoms. We still recommend people monitor through the 14, but you're required to stay home for the 10.
Okay.
As long as
Is
you
there
don't-
some sort of, like, can you shorten that up with testing, or is it just 10, stay home?
The state has a guideline for testing to get out of quarantine early. It says you can test on day 7 with a PCR test to get out, and if it's negative, then you can get out on day 8. So if you are able to go, like Stafford Hospital has a rapid PCR test, it reads in about an hour, I think. If we collected a PCR, it would be about 2 days before
Yeah.
you got the result back. So you would end up not leaving quarantine until the 10th
Yeah.
day anyway.
So if you wanted to get out of quarantine faster, going to Stafford, getting a rapid PCR would be the way to get out.
Would get you out 3 days early.
But we would still recommend monitoring for the full 14 because
Yeah.
the incubation period is that long. And we have had people be fine, clear to day 14 and then get sick. So if somebody's vaccinated, they don't have to quarantine, fully vaccinated. So if they've only gotten 1 dose of a 2-dose series, that's not considered fully vaccinated, they would still have to quarantine. If you're 2 weeks out from getting the full series of a vaccine, you're considered fully vaccinated and you wouldn't have to quarantine. We just recommend self-monitoring just in case it's like a Delta variant that some people have been still getting sick with a vaccine.
Yeah, so could that be, I'm not a doctor, I guess I'm not even really qualified to even say anything about that, but that, to me, that seems a little funny because the fully vaccinated people are getting COVID, correct? I mean, we've had fully vaccinated people get
Some are,
COVID.
yeah.
And inevitably, they're probably spreading COVID, but they don't have to quarantine if they're exposed to a positive.
Everybody should be wearing masks is
Yeah.
what it boils down to.
Yeah,
CDC has recommended mask using across the board for everybody vaccinated or unvaccinated. I'm wearing one because we see people all day at our office. I'm testing people every single day at our office. I don't want to walk around and give it to somebody because, I mean, I'm wearing PPE every time appropriately whenever I test somebody, but I'm not gonna take the chance of being somebody that comes down with it and has spread it to people, so I'm gonna wear a mask.
yeah. So I guess, if I'm understanding this right, because you just see so much stuff and you never know.
Mhm.
And I'm not a health professional, but the fully vaccinated are getting COVID and can spread COVID. Being vaccinated is helping them to lessen their symptoms.
So a
As
lot
far
of
as getting
vaccinated
sick.
people don't get sick, but the ones that do end up getting sick are not as sick as somebody that hasn't been
And it's probably
vaccinated.
Delta, that's maybe the
Most
Delta
of our
variant.
vaccinated, yes, have been a Delta variant that
Yeah.
have gotten sick. And yeah, they have symptoms, but they don't get nearly as sick as somebody that hasn't been vaccinated. And they seem to bounce back from their symptoms faster than the 10 days of their isolation. So most of them, way before their 10 days, are already feeling better and are completely recovered where they can be
Mhm.
finished.
And these quarantine guidelines are coming from the state.
Yeah,
right?
those are the guidelines from the state.
To me,
we're
that,
following.
just from 30,000 feet, this whole quarantine guideline, it is severely incentivizing people to get vaccinated because, to me, it makes no sense to quarantine somebody that's vaccinated, or no quarantine for somebody that's vaccinated that could still easily get COVID and spread it,
Mhm,
but you're vaccinated.
mhm.
And instead of, if you're not vaccinated, you're staying home 10 days unless you can get a rapid 7-day PCR.
Mhm.
To me, yeah,
But
to me, that's skewing it. That's the state.
But that's also how the isolation and quarantine works for every other communicable disease.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, measles, if you are vaccinated and you're in contact with somebody, you don't have to quarantine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they haven't changed it just for COVID. It's how it is for every other disease that we investigate.
Yeah.
That's a vaccine preventable disease. So, I mean,
Well, that gives me a little insight.
Well-
So that's basically what it was last year.
Yeah,
Pretty-
except, I
pretty
mean,
close
that's
to
for
what it is.
non-household members. If you're a household member that's not sick and not vaccinated, you do the 10 days while the person is sick for their 10 days, and then an additional 10 days to make sure you don't get sick, because it's a constant exposure whenever you're at home. Versus like walking up and talking to somebody for an hour, being in contact with them for that one day.
Yeah,
Whenever you're at home with somebody that's sick, it's
Yeah,
like you're
so say-
constantly being exposed to
so
the
say-
virus.
my daughter gets COVID,
Mhm,
she quarantines for 10 days at home.
mhm.
My son has to quarantine
Through her sickness.
through her sickness
And then
10
10
days,
days
and then
after
10 days
that.
after, so,
20 days minimum.
so it'd be 20 days,
Mhm,
3 weeks basically.
yeah.
Okay.
And if anybody else in the household gets sick, it extends the time. And that's how, I mean, that's the same thing that happens, like, again, like, I know measles, because I had done a course on that right before COVID started. With measles, it's exactly the same way. If you aren't vaccinated, you have to be excluded from everything. And then, yeah, if somebody else gets sick, then it extends it, and then it extends it. It's, because it's just a cycle. You're just in constant exposure if you're a household contact. The only way to get around that is if you can completely isolate away, like bathroom, bedroom.
Or just get them out of the house.
Yeah,
I
or
mean,
not have them there.
These families with multiple kids, and
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna follow the state's quarantine guideline,
And I offer that to people
Um,
whenever I call.
yeah, they just need to get them to,
But that's true in all communicable diseases.
Yes.
You have a family of, say, with 3 kids,
Mhm.
and it's for example, chickenpox. One comes down with chickenpox.
Mhm.
2 weeks later, the second one comes down, the third one comes down,
Mhm.
you know. Mom's got chickenpox in her house for 6 weeks,
Mhm.
because they just don't, the same way with measles, the same way
Mhm.
with mom, same way
Mhm.
with, with COVID. Now, there's another thing about, you mentioned the people that have been vaccinated. Remember that 4 out of 100 will not convert.
Mhm.
They just don't have the
They
immune
just don't have an
system or
immune
something
system
to
to make the
convert and to
antibodies.
make antibodies. So
Mhm.
I think in the clinical trials, it was it 96%?
Mhm.
So which meant 4 out of 100 people are, they get the
the
shots,
vaccine did them no good.
and it doesn't do anything.
And I mean,
Yeah.
as an example, my daughter, I'm taking her to an immunologist because she's got allergies.
Mhm.
She had to have an adult version of a pneumonia shot because she had all of her pneumonia shots as an infant and she had no immunity. She
Yeah.
got pneumonia twice in a year, they checked it, she had to have another one of those. She got ear infections repetitively, she had no immunity from the Hib vaccine, so she had to have a 5th dose of that. So, I mean,
We are unique.
yeah,
Every
everybody's
individual is
unique.
unique.
A vaccine is a really great tool, but it isn't 100%. And you have to realize that it's not 100%, and you may
Yeah.
be the one person that it didn't work as well for.
And what's your total number on total vaccine? The 2 doses in the county. Are we over 1,000?
Yeah, I mean, 2 doses given,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're over 1,000.
Then the 1 dose,
I think
Couple
we're
hundred?
close to 130 of that. We don't have that one
the
anymore.
Johnson.
I can't order it right now.
Yeah.
So what is the lowest age that can be vaccinated right now?
12.
12. So basically, this quarantine deal is gonna affect the kids most. I mean, if somebody my age doesn't wanna get vaccinated, or Todd's age, or Clay's age, that's their decision.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you're gonna quarantine longer, I guess, if you don't wanna get vaccinated, but to me, this affects the younger kids the worst because, and especially inevitably because younger kids, more than likely, there's another young kid in the house,
Mhm.
and you just roll into these long quarantines where, you're 10 days through the sickness and then an additional 10 days, and they couldn't be vaccinated even if they wanted to be.
Right.
So to me, I guess, I'm just trying to get a handle back on it now that we're
Yeah.
getting cases ramping back up.
Yeah.
And it is this year that's affecting mainly adolescents, younger people. as opposed to, say, last fall when it was
We've
the
had-
elderly?
We've had more kids this year so far. Yeah,
And is this,
we're still getting adults and elderly, but we've had more
more of the kids?
younger people that have tested positive recently.
So out of these 14 that you've got now, are they all Delta variant, or
Not all of them are getting tested for that.
they're not
So
sequencing those?
so I know Stafford Hospital, whenever they test somebody, they are collecting 2 swabs so they can send it to the state. We offer it to people, so we have the antigen test kits at our office, and we offer the positives another one that we can send to the state for the sequencing, but the state's the only place around here that does the sequencing.
Is the treatment any different as far as therapeutics and, I mean,
No.
say you call Pratt Hospital and you say, well, this is a Delta variant case.
As
Are
of
they
right
gonna take
now-
you or give you anything special versus just,
Not that I'm aware of right now. I know that they were checking into it to see if there was anything that they could do differently for it, but
Yeah.
right now it's basically, they're just tracking the mutations of the virus so they know what's
yeah, so
circulating.
they're just trying to figure out where it is and what it is.
Yeah.
Versus this is how we're gonna treat it
And
because it's this.
We've got, Delta has 14 different mutations, or 12 different mutations within it. We've got 2 of them
Yeah.
circulating in Stafford County, and so far the people that have come back with being positive Delta have no idea where they've gotten it from. So it's a community spread at that point, whenever you can't say, oh, I got it from this person and this person had, like, we can't go back and figure that out,
Mhm.
because nobody's able to pinpoint where they got it from.
Yeah. Okay.
St. John's School did sign up for the test to stay in play, so like, if they've got somebody that is a close contact from school, as long as they're not a household contact, they can come to school for 10 days wearing a mask and get tested each day to be there. If they're negative, they can stay. So that's what they're doing. Stafford and Maxville didn't sign up to do that, so if they've
So
got
the
a
school
contact, they just
nurses
have to
testing,
quarantine.
you guys aren't having to go test the school
Lisa's
nurse?
doing it.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that's
then she
just like a
reports it back
rapid,
to us.
that's not a PCR,
No,
right?
she's
That's just
using
an
the antigen
antigen?
test like
Okay.
what we were using at the health department
Yeah.
for rapid. And then she just reports them back to, the positives to us, and then she has to do daily reporting for each test to the state,
Yeah.
just like what we do too.
To me, you have nothing to lose by doing that, right? I mean,
I know there are parents that are having their kids go ahead and go to school and do that. There are some parents that don't want to have their kid tested every day, so they just keep them home for the
Yeah.
quarantine period.
well, I've seen some articles and stuff about how you don't, yeah, some people don't want the swab or whatever in them 10 days in a row or,
Yeah.
Now, I've heard, have they come out with a throat swab test?
There's a throat swab test and there's a saliva test now too. And I did get some of the saliva test kits at the office. I didn't get a lot of them just because I didn't know how many people would want to do them. But yeah, and the antigen kit that we have isn't very invasive really. It's a nose swab, but it doesn't go up to your sinus. It goes about midway into your nose and we just swab each nostril. So it's not a
It's not
big
like it
scary
was-
one that goes up to your
touches your
sinus.
brain.
I mean, if we do the
Was that-
PCR, that's
is
the
that
one
what
that we would
Kern said?
do, but
Yeah.
the,
We went in to have, my
You
wife
swab-
went in
swab
to
out the
have
turbinates.
our last son a year ago, you know, in the thick of COVID, and they did the swab clear up there, pulled it out, and it was bloody on the end. I was like, oh man, I don't wanna do that.
yeah. So I mean, if you want to do the sequencing, that's the one that we would have to collect, or the saliva one,
Yeah.
because it's a PCR, but the one that we generally just do so it's done in 15 minutes is an easy one that's, I mean, I've tested kids and they've done fine.
And that's the ones that they're doing at the school?
Yeah,
That's just a lot easier.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you do the quick, on the saliva, is that a quick test too? Or the
No,
first one? No.
So if they're gonna do the testing for 10 days, if they've been exposed, then they will have to do the nose swab, not the saliva, okay?
yeah, the saliva one, I would have to send it to state for a permit.
And what's usually the turnaround time on that? Just kind of depends.
They usually, after they receive it, they usually have it back within 2 days.
Okay.
So usually no more than 3. That might change if they start getting more samples, but so far they've been pretty consistent, about 2 days turnaround.
Okay. So changing subjects a little bit, how's the storage unit working out?
I need to call and get the second one ordered, but the one that we've got is great. We are able to get a closet reorganized and get things out of there that we needed out of there. So I'm gonna get that ordered. I talked to Davis about getting our air conditioner heater scheduled to get that replaced, because they've given us a bid on that, so,
On the office or on the?
on the office.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you do have some kind of an air conditioner on the storage
I
unit?
don't.
But it's insulated,
It's insulated.
so.
So
this
I was
summer-
gonna do the same thing with the second one that we did with the first one.
But you didn't think it was got too hot in there during the summer?
No, I mean,
I got
we,
80, 85 maybe.
yeah, it wasn't horrible.
Okay.
Cause I came and looked at it on a hot day and it
Mhm.
wasn't terrible. I mean, it
No.
was hot in there, but not.
I'm sure some of the stuff
Yeah.
you guys store can't, get baked,
Right,
but,
Yeah,
and you'll probably kind of do the same thing, insulate it, run
yeah,
electric to it, and then if you need to, you can air conditioner heat it.
yeah.
Okay.
And my plan is to get rid of that one little storage shed that's back there, that it's just in really bad shape. Take the stuff out of that and put it into the new one.
yeah,
Yep,
That way we can just get rid of that.
yep.
sounds good.
Influenza, has it come in yet? The vaccine?
Yeah, we have some. In another 2 weeks, we should get some more. So, yeah, anybody can come in and get one now if they
When
want.
do you recommend getting a flu shot? Is it closer to like Halloween?
Yeah,
thought-
I would,
I thought I remembered you saying that maybe last year where it's almost beneficial to wait a little bit.
I would probably wait until mid-October,
Yeah.
end of October. But we do have some doses in. Not a lot, but some.
Have the statistics come out yet about influenza last year, the number of cases versus the years before? I have a feeling it's less.
I haven't looked it up, it is less. I have heard them say that on updates, that it was less, but I haven't looked it up
And I think it's
to see.
because of the mask.
Yeah, that's what they're attributing it to, is mask use.
Well, I guess we've whipped this horse enough, haven't we?
Yeah, I do, if we're done here, I would like to have a 5-minute executive session with Shannon. Shannon discussing on elected personnel, and
Okay.
then I would imagine we could probably adjourn after that.
Anything else, Lisa?
Yeah, we got minutes.
We have the minutes, we got the vouchers, checks have been
You can
signed.
stay, I was gonna say you can stay late and do the checks.
Checks are already done.
Yeah. Was that a motion?
Yeah.
I second.
Okay, it's been made, a motion. Motion has been made and seconded, we go into executive session for non-elected personnel for 5 minutes and we'll adjourn after that.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.